Hello and welcome to the Research Talks podcast, where research analyst Alan Green joins us to talk about two companies and present the investment case. And today we're going to be focusing on Panther Metals and Tertiary Minerals.
That's correct, Mark. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thanks. Very good. Enjoying this balmy weather down the south coast.
Nice and warm, is it?
It certainly is. It's 30 degrees today, and the sun's blazing down, not a cloud in the sky. So it's a hot one.
Good. Well, that's nice. It's not quite as hot up York North yet, I don't think, but it looks like it might be heading that way.
Yeah.
But my property doesn't actually face where the sun is, so I'm probably not feeling it yet. But if I go outside, maybe I will. I don't know. I have to venture out later on today.
I think you will. I think it's. I think we're sort of heating up for the weekend. Actually, I think it's going to be a hot weekend too. So
it'd be nice. Be nice.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with Panther. I do know Panther quite well. I know Darren. I don't know Tertiary Minerals as well. But shall we get the ball rolling with Panther?
Yes, of course. So Panther Metals, it evolved from London Nucentera in 2018. I think at that stage probably it was a little more than a cash shell, but evolved into the company that we know today. It's the company's listed has a standard listing on the London main market. As we were saying, Mark, just over 7 million shares in issue, and currently has a market cap of 7 million. Shares are traded as high as 14p on the year, and in fact they're at those highs now, trading at those highs, and as low as 185p. Quite an eventful year for the company so far. They moved from next to AIM at the start of the year, raised somewhere in the region of 950,000 to fund activities for the year, and that included 130,000 from a non-brokered placing, which obviously is good news. And also in a placing more recently, they raised a further 250,000 at 6.5p. So anyone that got involved in that placing now, of course, be sitting pretty. The shares are doubling in value. So the broad brush, the company has two key focus areas, and that's Ontario, Canada, where it has the Big Bend project, which consists of probably up to a couple of hundred separate mining claims spread over a vast area, and I'll go into details on those in a second. And also two projects in Australia, the Maracay Gold Project. Both projects are in the Northern Territory. The Maracay project, which is some 70 kilometres east of Darwin, and the Annaborough project, which is a former Newmont project, Newmont mining project, which is about 100 kilometres southeast of Darwin also. So the board of the company, Darren Hazelwood, we were just talking, Mark. Of course, Darren has developed from an active private investor, and headed up Panther Metals, and is very well regarded, I think, throughout the city and throughout the mining industry as somebody that very much what you see is what you get, does what it says on the tin. Also backed up by the non-exec chair, Kerem Sina, who of course has 21 years experience, well known throughout the industry, and I've met Kerem at several events, and of course he's well known for his work with Ariana Resources and the work there. Chief Ops Officer Mitchell Smith, who is also the chief executive of Global Energy Metals. That's a TSX listed company, so clearly with the experience there in Canada. And Nick O'Reilly, who's a geologist and mining analyst, who will basically undertake all the hard yards and the work necessary to bring the assets that's owned by Panther Metals up to JORC resource standard. So back into the actual project. So Big Bear project in Ontario, Canada. There's a huge greenstone belt called the Schreiber-Hemlo Greenstone Belt that runs through the region, and active mining projects operating in this area owned by Teck Resources, Newmont Mining, who are, of course, global, and we'll hear, we've spoken about Newmont before, of course. They have projects that overlap with a number of the other companies that we've spoken about. And Barrick Gold, and Barrick Gold actually owns the Hemlo mine, which is in that region, which to date has produced 22 million ounces of gold. Samples that have been taken from the area range from, and of course this is just on the Big Bear license project area, 1 to 5 grams per ton of gold, to the higher samples which range from 105 to 112 grams per ton. Some fairly rapid developments this year, notwithstanding, of course, the restrictions that COVID has placed on movement and developments in the region. The company has undertaken a 3-week sampling project, or commenced a 3-week sampling project in May, to draw together what Darren Hazelwood has referred to as a very fragmented exploration and mining data set, and that's probably as much to do with the sheer scale of the region as anything else. It's a huge area. The license areas owned by the Big Bear projects are some 43 square kilometers, and of course, when you're covering this region, it's impossible to bring everything together. So in June, they undertook a geophysics survey. That's an airborne electromagnetic survey. And following that, there were 9 additional claims registered within the Big Bear project region. Subsequently, Panther Metals have acquired what's referred to as the Dotted Lake property, which is approximately 20 kilometers from the Barrick Hemlo mine. And Darren Hazelwood referred to the acquisition as outstanding value. They paid just $20,000 for the licenses, and added to that. Subsequently, after acquiring the project, they added an additional 135 Dotted Lake claims or licensed claims in the region, and as a company, it's increased their land holding by 346%, which is a pretty substantial number. Work will be commencing. That's the trenching and drilling work will be commencing in autumn of this year. So we'll start to get some meaningful data from the license areas in regard to the potential and the amount of gold per ton from the samples taken. And then obviously once we have detailed data like that, I'm imagining that Nick O'Reilly will then basically put the numbers together and put together a desktop model for a JORC resource number. So big progress in Canada, looks very exciting, and one to watch. But certainly, I think if you look at the share price performance to date this year, we've seen the shares since the move across from AIM, and that was around the 2p mark. The shares have rocketed in value and currently sit at the year highs. And I think it's just in anticipation of the developments and the scale of the project to date.
Yeah, it has done very well, hasn't it? Particularly, I think, since moving over from the Nex or Aquis exchange.
Aquis, yeah.
Yeah, Aquis. When we mentioned, obviously, Darren earlier, I've known Darren for a few years, and I can honestly say he's one of the real honest people who's really in it for the right reasons. He's a decent guy. He's a really good CEO, someone who can be trusted really to look after shareholders' money and, really do his best to advance the project. And, with the share price as it is today, I think he's doing that rather well. And I would still say it's relatively good value even now.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I think look at the share price performance to date. He's certainly delivering on that. And I think the great thing is with modern mining techniques, of course, projects that were perhaps hitherto considered too remote, too inaccessible, and particularly where you have a package of mining claims, pulling them all together, as Darren said, when you've got a fragmented data set and covered over covering huge areas. It's very difficult to pull that together, but modern techniques, aeromagnetic surveys, enable you to do that, and then put a plan of action together as to how you're going to extract the value from each of the assets that are pulled together on the data set. So, I think certainly looking at the share price performance and looking at the progress that the company's made, on what's, let's face it, has been a fairly modest fundraise this year. I think he's delivering great value so far. And of course, that's just Canada. So
of course.
I'll now move on to the Australian assets. So I said the Maracay and Annaborough projects, they're both, they're Maracay is 70 kilometres east of Darwin. Annaborough is southeast by 100 kilometres. Maracay is some 10 kilometres away from active gold mines. And again, this is another gold project. These include Tom's Gully, which is a high-grade gold mine producing 1.1 million tonnes with an average grams per tonne of 9 grams per tonne. And Rustler's Roost, fantastic name, that Rustler's Roost, 51 million tonnes of 51 million tonnes of gold with a lower grading, 1 gram per tonne. And both of those mines are owned by China Hanking Holdings. So so they're operating and clearly again shared geological anomalies across the region. The region's also produced a 30-ounce nugget, and the peak grade from the sampling in the Maracay project has to date been just over 50 grams per tonne average, which is a pretty solid number. So again, more news to come, but that was a fairly recent addition to the portfolio, as was Annaborough. And again, some approximately 18 kilometers away, the territory from Annaborough is much larger. It's 150 square kilometers, whereas Maracay is 10 square kilometers. And this is approximately 18 kilometers away, also from Tom's Gully and Russell's Roost. The Donkey Hill prospect, I love the names across Australia. There's a hill nearby called Steve's Hill, and one wonders who Steve was, but anyway. So the Donkey Hill prospect is again owned by Newmont Mining, the eponymous Australian mining giant. And the Donkey Hill prospect has produced 61 grams per tonne and 50 grams per tonne from grab samples, which is pretty impressive by any standards. And again, across this prospect, Darren and his team have noted high mineralization at surface, with over 90% of the area unexplored. And the work that's being undertaken this year will give the team a greater understanding and also assist again in precise targeting. And again, going back to the point I made with the Big Bear projects in Canada, when you've got the licenses and the areas spread across such a wide region, it's pulling those together. Modern data techniques and modern mining techniques enable good companies to do that. So, in summary, I think Panther are poised to deliver further value. I mean, looking at what they've done already this year, looking at that they've acquired these additional licenses for very little money indeed, comparatively speaking, and increased the land holding of the company by 346%. So once we get some hard data back from the exploration, which is taking place this autumn, then I think we could see I was going to say a seismic shift, but that's probably too strong a term. But I think we'll certainly see a substantial re-rating of Panther Metals as a mining group, and obviously the greater value will make available greater resources to the group to further the project. So yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, I think definitely it is definitely one for people to have a look at in more detail, and great jurisdictions as well. Canada and Australia. What's more to like?
Very much so. Very much so. That's the great thing with that's the great thing with both of these areas. Obviously, they are prime prime sort of prime regions for mining companies, and the incumbent governments and the local and regional governments there are working, are very keen to work with the companies to make the process as easy and as de-restrictive for them as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like as well about Darren is, I don't know if you've noticed on Twitter, he's always putting, little updates out, little pictures, even made a little video of pictures taken of exploration going on in Canada. And I think that's really commendable as a CEO. It's very few CEOs you see do that, complain they don't have time or it's not important. But it really is important, to connect with your investors. And Darren seems very, very good at doing that. And I think that's something that's rare, So yeah, worth a look, I think.
It is, yeah. It's, and I think that's it. And Darren does have a good understanding of how to use social media and just communicate, from the top. And investors like that. It's
exactly.
He wears his business heart on his sleeve, as it were, and that's a very important asset to have in a company.
And of course, his background is a private investor. So he knows how we feel as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. And I think one of the biggest issues as a private investor is news flow, and it's articulating the investment proposition, but also getting the progress announcements out to the market in a meaningful way, and in a way that we can understand too, because I think so many updates from mining companies over the years have been couched in jargon and terminology that makes it very hard to decipher what's actually going on underneath. But certainly to date, the news flow that Darren's putting across is very. It's very easy to understand and take on board, and
it is.
That's very important.
It is. No, absolutely is. Okay, great. Well, that's Panther Metals. Ticker was what? PALM? Palm?
PALM. That's it. Palm. Yep. That's it.
Okay, so moving on to Tertiary. Now, I know nothing about Tertiary, so I'm all ears, and I'll ask some questions, I'm sure.
Okay, fine. Tertiary Minerals. So Tertiary Minerals is a polymetallic. It's a polymetallic group. It has a number of licenses across a number of territories. I'm going to go into the. I'm just going to summarize the projects that the company is running to start with, and then I'll go into more detail. I've known the company for many years. The work with the former CEO Rick Clemmy, who stepped down early this year, and Patrick Cheetham, of course, is an industry veteran and is well known. I hope he doesn't mind me saying veteran, but he's well known throughout the mining fraternity, and again he's now running and working with Tertiary as the projects are developed. So Tertiary were initially or originally known as a fluorspar company, and fluorspar it's classed by the EU and by bodies around the world as a critical mineral, and it's used in the smelting process with iron and steel. It's used in optics, and it has a multitude of applications across industry. So it's a critical mineral. The market has been fairly benign over the past few years. The fluorspar sells for something like $350 per ton at the moment, but that does vary according to China's consumption. They have 3 fluorspar projects: the Storuman project in Sweden, the Lassedalen project, and these are fluorspar projects in Norway, and the MB project in Nevada, which all of these are fluorspar. And with the knowledge that the fluorspar market was fairly benign, the company took the decision about 18 months ago to seek out and identify other projects within the mining region, within the regions they're currently operating in, to add some near-term growth potential to the business. It's important to point out at this point that the company has a takeoff agreement with Erzkantor Possel, which is a commodity. It's a German commodities broking giant, and they have an agreement that with the fluorspar projects that Possel will take off 70% of the output of any of the 3 projects that Tertiary develop. So that's in terms of having an asset on board to take the projects forward. Should we arrive at a time where there's greater demand for fluorspar or there's a fluorspar shortage, then these projects can be developed. There is a caveat that I'll put in at this point that to say that the MB, in some sampling that was undertaken a few months ago at the MB fluorspar project, the fluorspar, the standard fluorspar there was not at the standard that they would have expected. So they are considering their strategic options in regard to whether they retain the MB project going forward. But we'll have news on the company on that from the company later on.
Fluorspar. What is fluorspar?
Well, fluorspar, it's an industrial mineral. As I say, it's used it has a multitude of applications, and it's used in smelting. It's used in optics. It's used. It has military applications. It's got a vast range of applications, and it's classed as a critical mineral, so it's important. But again, with China being the burgeoning new generation economy, of course, their consumption of anything to do with iron and steel has been huge, and they have their own fluorspar mines, but they've had issues with firstly the mining standards in the fluorspar mines in China, and on the back of that, a lot of those mines were closed, and they then became a net importer. But currently the market's fairly benign, and there are a few suppliers supplying that market at present. So the fluorspar price is fairly it's a quiet market at the moment.
I've never heard of it.
I know, yes. Well, I remember seeing an article written on fluorspar a few years ago, and this was a well-known financial journalist who said, fluorspar, heard of it? No, neither have I. and that really sums it up. It's something that, like so many things, it has a use in everything, but no one really knows about it, or actually cares. So anyway, so that's the first part I'm going to deal with. The core of the tertiary offering now is a range of assets in the Nevada area, and these consist of the Pyramid Gold Project, the Mount Tobin Silver Prospect, the Paymaster Polymetallic Project, and that's zinc, copper, lead, silver, and cobalt, the Lucky Copper Prospect, fantastically named again, and an even better name, the Peg Leg Zinc, Copper, Lead, and Silver Project.
There's some great names today.
There are, yeah, that's it. And this is Western USA, so it's normally Australia that throws out the great names. There are a range of projects, and work has been undertaken across these projects, and a summary was recently released by the company. The sampling in the Pyramid Project, core samples were taken, and they're awaiting analytical results, and those should be out sometime in the next 6 to 8 weeks. The Paymaster Zinc Silver Project was interesting because it referred to skarn style zinc silver mineralization, which was very similar to the Taylor zinc lead silver deposit in Arizona, which is owned by the mining company South 22. So some real similarities there. And of course, I think when we spoke about Kavango Resources, the major project that they were involved in had similarities to a huge mine in Siberia. So I think when a company is presenting its findings, they will look for similarities with other projects, as it makes the geology and the prospectivity of the project easy to understand. The skarn zone was mapped over a 240-meter area, and the samples from the region graded up to 8.5% combined lead, zinc, copper, and 200 grams per ton of silver. So again, a highly prospective find even at this early stage. The company. I'll just give you a review of the other projects. The Peg Leg Copper Silver Lead Zinc project. There's a trenching program scheduled for this month. to better expose the outcropping mineralization, which the previous assay results revealed 59 grams per ton of silver and decent levels of copper, lead, and zinc. The Lucky Copper prospect, the prospect was originally drilled in 1951, and the company are currently undertaking soil sampling and drone magnetic surveys around the region to identify these previously defined drill targets. Most recently, Tertiary provided an update on preliminary sampling from the Mount Tobin prospect. And they took rock samples from prospectors' hand-dug pits, which I found interesting. The silver values there were up to 101 grams per ton of silver, and several other samples taken from the region show between 15 and 91 grams per ton of silver. And this was taken from a strike area of some 450 meters in length. Further work is planned there, but Patrick Cheetham said that the team were delighted with the results, and actually silver over the past 2 to 3 months has outperformed silver, and he believes it's currently showing more leverage than the gold price in the current market conditions. So that's an interesting development there from Tertiary. Mm-hmm. So as we can see with Tertiary, there's a range of projects underway, and as with Panther Metals, we're going to get some firm hard data toward the end of the year. But there's a marked difference between the two. Whereas Panther has a market cap of some 7 million, Tertiary is currently trading on a market cap of just 2 million,
right?
And they have nearly 700,000 in the bank. So the company's very well funded. There's no cash requirement. There's no debt. They are well funded, and I think based on the results that we hope to see from the drilling and from further sampling and the assay results later in the year, we should see some significant movement in the share price. I think Tertiary is incredibly undervalued right now and really offers great value.
2 million, yeah, very cheap, and a lot of projects there. A heck of a lot, really.
Yeah, it's not just the projects. I mean, Fluorspar, obviously those are in a sense back burner projects, but they're assets nonetheless. And with that takeoff agreement with POSL, should there be a sea change in the availability of Fluorspar or China's requirements suddenly go through the roof, and they're looking for new projects. It's one of the tertiary projects could be developed and could come online, and that's kind of the hidden value in the group. Certainly the Paymaster project, and the projects in Nevada that I've covered all offer nearer term potential. But sitting underneath all that, we've got these Fluorspar projects that really do add a valuable asset and another dimension to the nascent value within Tertiary Minerals.
Great. Okay. Great. Well, another one to check out, I think.
Certainly. Epic code there is TYM. So yeah.
TYM. Okay. Great. Okay. Well, great. That's fantastic again, Alan. Thank you very much for your time talking about Panther and Tertiary, and we look forward to speaking next time. Actually, I think next time it's a more casual podcast, is it? I think with me and Kenny, we're going to be doing the market musings, which is so not focusing specifically on any particular companies, but more talking about the wider market. And I think we might get into some of your, your bit of your personal life, if that's all right, into your bikes, I believe.
Very much so, Mark. Yeah, I am an avid collector and rebuilder of classic motorcycles, and there is a market here which I think offers great potential. And currently the assets. So if you buy an old classic bike, it's viewed as a wasting chattel by the revenue. So if you restore one and sell it for a decent profit, you won't incur any capital gains tax.
Right. Okay. Oh, great. So an investment as well, then.
Absolutely. That's cool. That's it. So an investment that you can ride.
So you can ride, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about a bike that my dad has then, and that might pique your interest when we speak next week. So yeah, next week we'll catch up on the market musings with me, Kenny, and yourself, and then we'll reconvene for the research talks in 2 weeks.
That's great, Mark. Look forward to it.
Great. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.